At least 22 people have been killed in a gun attack in an upmarket shopping mall in Nairobi. That's according to the Red Cross. Gunmen threw grenades and opened fire in the complex. Syria has sent more details of its chemical weapons program to the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. No information has been released of what is in the declarations. And it's the last day of campaigning ahead of Sunday's elections in Germany. Polls show Angela Merkel's centre-right alliance on a knife edge as her junior partner's support slumps. Hello, you're watching France 24, live from Paris. I'm Karen Roberts. First, to the gun attack on a shopping mall in Nairobi. At least 22 people have been killed and there are more casualties inside the complex. That's according to the Kenya Red Cross. A witness to the attacks at Nairobi's upscale Westgate Mall says that gunmen told Muslims to stand up and leave and that non-Muslims would be targeted. Gunmen threw grenades and opened fire during the attack.
Shocked, frightened, clutching their loved ones. Dozens of people run to safety after gunmen fired shots inside this upscale Nairobi shopping mall. The shooting left at least a dozen dead, wounding many more. Witnesses say the attackers burst into the four-story building and opened fire. They also reported hearing grenade blasts. Sporadic gunshots could be heard hours after the attack began.
There was shooting on the ground floor, and slowly they're going up and up. I went up to Java, and they came till there. Somehow some police has rescued us. The situation is very bad inside.
But there are conflicting reports over whether the gunmen have taken hostages, and whether the incident was a cold-blooded attack or a planned terrorist strike.
The gunman said, "If you're a Muslim, stand up, we'll come to rescue you." Uhuru said to kill Muslims in Mombasa. Now people are being killed there. Now we are here to rescue the Muslims.
Preparing to confront the assailants, armed police surround the building and were later joined by soldiers from the elite forces. Meanwhile, ambulances rushed to the scene to treat the injured as authorities cordon off neighbouring streets. The Somali militant group Al-Shabaab has in the past threatened to strike the Westgate Mall. It's popular with wealthy locals and the city's expatriate community. So far, no one has claimed responsibility for the attack.
Well, for more on the attack, we can now talk to Roland Marchal, who is a specialist on the Horn of Africa. Thank you very much for joining us. Who, in your opinion, is likely to be behind this attack?
If I listen what you said, you said, I believe people who are connected to Shabab, but who are Kenyans and who basically try to, bring the same kind of war in Kenya as the war in Somalia. So Shabab is very much connected to that.
What's this?
And I would like as well to add, that they as well wounded and killed Muslims because one of my friends was killed there.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'd like to ask you, was this an unusual target? Why was an upmarket shopping mall chosen?
Because I believe from basically late 2011 at least, everyone following Somalia was convinced that Shabab and his supporters in Kenya will try to target a significant place like this one. Westgate is a kind of symbol of Kenyan modernity. You have coffees, you have movie theaters, you have shops, everything that is, you have therefore a mix of foreigners, Kenyans, as well as many Somalis actually frequenting, moving there in the weekend. So that was something that was very much against their understanding of how society should be regulated. And as well, that's the proof that Kenya is not safe for foreigners. And maybe later on, it will as well be an effect, will be to make the relationship between the Somali community in Kenya and the Kenyan state much more difficult.
Okay, thank you very much for that, for your analysis, Mr. Roland Marchal. That was Roland Marchal there for us in Kenya. Moving on to other news now, and the Organisation for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons says it's reviewing a further disclosure from Syria about its chemical weapons program. Yesterday, the body said it had received a preliminary submission from Syria. No details have been released of what is in both the Syrian declarations. Under a United States-Russia agreement aimed at ridding Syria of its chemical arsenal, Damascus has had until Saturday to submit a full list. Meanwhile, a truce has been called between Western-backed Free Syrian Army rebels and jihadists linked to al-Qaeda. The rival groups have been fighting for control of opposition-held territories. While both camps are against Assad, they differ ideologically over the future of Syria. Our team on the ground met with one man who's decided to become a jihadist.
He's packed and ready. Now Louay just has to wait for the green light. He recently decided to join the Islamic State in Iraq and Levant, a jihadist group affiliated with al-Qaeda. Since the beginning of the Syrian war, Louay has fought in the ranks of the Free Syrian Army, but now he prefers a holy war.
The Free Syrian Army is at the beck and call of the West. Members of the Syrian National Council like Burhan Ghaliou followed the West's agenda. They're against installing Sharia law. I'm a Muslim. I'm in favor of Sharia law in Syria.
An opinion that is at home in this apartment in Antakya. For some, it's been a radical change. Disappointed by the revolution, this one-time pacifist now provides lodging to foreign recruits, hoping to become fighters.
In reality, they don't even need me. It would be enough to go to the airport and check the buses there, look at the passengers who are arriving, and ask which of them would be interested in jihad, then take them to the border.
For now, the flag of the Free Syrian Army still hangs in the corner, but the banner of jihad looms large, a sign of the growing influence of extremism dividing the Syrian opposition.
Iraq's Kurds have voted in their first election in 4 years as their autonomous region grapples with disputes with Baghdad, while fellow Kurds fight bloody battles in neighbouring Syria. The election for the region's parliament comes as the turmoil roiling the Middle East has raised renewed questions about the political future of the Kurdish nation as a whole.
The Kurdish Prime Minister votes as the autonomous Iraqi region turns out for Saturday's parliamentary ballot. Masoud Barzani's Kurdistan Democratic Party is expected to pick up most of the vote, along with coalition partner the Patriotic Union of Kurdistan. However, a PUK splinter group is looking to upset the existing balance.
Unfortunately, in recent times, the two Kurdish parties have dominated governmental and partisan institutions in a way that does not satisfy the people. We want to reach a phase of change in this election. The people are optimistic.
At stake is control of an oil-rich region, which has earned greater freedom from Baghdad in recent years. Iraqi Kurdistan has been given control of its own security forces and visa system, though its authorities have been criticised for corruption and abuse of human rights. Baghdad's also been reticent in the face of mounting demands for full Kurdish independence, and the Iraqi federal government is involved in a dispute with authorities there over land and resources which both sides claim. Beyond local squabbles over the Kurdish power structure, though, it seems each political party can agree on one thing: remaining united in the face of federal opposition to the south.
Well, now to Germany's election. Its election for the lower house of parliament takes place on Sunday. The incumbent Christian Democratic Union are scoring highest in the polls, and Angela Merkel is expected to remain chancellor. The CDU's sister party in Bavaria won a strong victory in regional elections last Sunday, but the coalition nature of German politics makes the outcome of tomorrow's election uncertain. This report from Charlotte Hawkins.
The Eurozone crisis, unemployment and social policy. That's what polls suggest are the top issues for German voters. and Angela Merkel's Christian Democratic Union is coming out ahead. But the German voting system is a form of proportional representation, and this almost always leads to coalition governments. The CDU is currently in a centre-right coalition with the Liberal Free Democratic Party. Should this continue, domestic and European policies will remain largely the same. But after a resounding defeat in the Bavarian election last Sunday, the Liberals will have to fight to achieve the minimum 5% of the vote necessary to get seats in Parliament.
This is a joint government by Christian Democratic parties and the FDP. And those who want a continuation of these joint policies would do well to give additional support to the FDP.
The main opposition party is Peer Steinbrück's Social Democratic Party. But lagging behind in the polls, a centre-left coalition looks unlikely. If neither of the large parties can form a bloc majority, a grand coalition is a possibility. A complicated partnership between Conservatives and Socialists, the country witnessed this before between 2005 and 2009. Should this occur again, the new government is likely to increase taxes and may take a softer line on struggling Eurozone countries. Less likely, but not impossible, the Socialists could team up with the Greens in a strongly pro-Europe coalition, or the Greens could create an uncomfortable alliance with the Conservatives. Unpredictable levels of support for the hardline Left Party, the Pirate Party, and the Eurosceptic Alternative für Deutschland could also affect the outcome.
Well, we can return now to our top story, to the gun attack on a shopping mall in Nairobi. And we can talk to a journalist at the scene there, Jonathan Carlin. We're hearing that at least 30 people have been killed. That's according to the police.